All right, sorry we're a little late, but I will call to order the meeting, which is the 2,358th meeting of the Darien Police Commission. And we have the acceptance of minutes for December 5th. Someone?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, correspondence?
Got a few letters of correspondence here. One email is commending the services of Officer Rich Flood, scene of an accident at Middlesex Middle School. He's very thankful for Officer Flood's calm and professional manner. Second one from members of the Darien Library, commending a presentation that was given by K-9 officers Amanda Hinckley and Leslie Silva. They both did a presentation there of their respective K-9s. It was well received. And a nice letter from the International Association of Chiefs of Police Research Advisory Committee, commending Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson's presentation. He gave a presentation down at the IACP conference in Orlando back in October for that LEADS program that he's a part of. And he did a nice job. I met with him down there when I was down there as well. So he did a nice job.
Okay, next, Chief Department activity.
Yep. I have a number of items for you. On November 26th, we had 2 motor vehicle burglaries on Edgewood Road, both unlocked vehicles. A flashlight and a blanket were stolen. Also on the 26th, the 2010 VW Tiguan. Is that how you say that?
As opposed to going, yeah.
VW Tiguan was stolen from a vehicle from the driveway on Fitch Avenue. The location of the key was undetermined. Also on the 26th, the motor vehicle accident. The operator fled the scene at Post Road and Brookside Road. Vehicle was located in Norwalk, and the driver was arrested by our officers with the assistance of Norwalk Police for DWI and evading responsibility. On the 29th, shoplifting at Whole Foods, $196 worth of seafood was stolen. Investigation by patrol officers led to the arrest of a 31-year-old Stamford resident, charging him with larceny in the 6th degree. Also on the 29th, officers were called to a report of a party with underage youth consuming alcohol on Norotan Avenue, and an adult resident of Norotan Avenue was subsequently arrested for delivering alcohol to minors. On the 31st, a burglary of a residence in a garage on Fairfield Avenue. A purse and laptop were stolen. Also on the 31st, we had a shoplifting arrest at the Verizon store at 1075 Post Road. 2 subjects were apprehended, and they were also charged with possession of narcotics, as well as the larceny or the theft of a cell phone. And on the 3rd, January 3rd, we had a 2005 Porsche stolen from a residence on North Road. Keys were left in the vehicle, and the vehicle was recovered the next day on the 4th in Newark, New Jersey. And that's all I have to date for you.
Busy time?
Busy holiday season somewhat. Yep.
Okay. Okay, old business, and I think,
Just have one thing to note
Yeah.
on old business, if you would.
Sure.
Before I turn it over to the captain here. I advised you a meeting or 2 ago that Officer Kevin Taggart resigned from the ERT team, the regional ERT team, and we're looking to replace him with Officer Joe Casano.
okay,
Who's a good fit, and he's done a tryout with the team, and they like him very much, and they'd like to put him on as a full-time member.
okay. So that's informational?
That's
isn't it?
informational,
Yes.
yeah.
Thanks. Okay, Captain, you're busy this month.
Busy every month.
Yeah, I understand, but you weren't as busy a couple of months ago. But this is a lot. Go ahead.
First up, Sylvan Road. The commission will remember that at some point in the last 12 months, we got a unanimous petition from the residents of Sylvan Road for the commission to explore the possibility of adding a speed hump or 2. If you remember, Birch Road already has speed humps.
Mhm.
For all intents and purposes, although the name changes, is it a continuation of the same road? We did request Westcog to do a speed study on Sylvan Road for us, which they conducted in November. They supplied me the results just before the holiday. clearly, in my estimation, it does support the residents' belief that traffic goes faster than it should in that 25-mile-an-hour short section of Sylvan Road. Sylvan Road is a little bit problematic to do radar enforcement on. It's narrow, it's short, but there are people getting up into the 50-mile-an-hour range on occasion on that road based on
Wow.
the speed study that they did.
Well,
The vast majority of the traffic, of course, is traveling faster than the posted speed limit of 25, which that in itself is not surprising. But I do support the residents' request to probably install one speed hump on Sylvan Road to match those that are on Birch.
So, to your point, it'll be one, because the road's short.
One, I don't believe we could get two in there even if we wanted to. The road is just simply not long enough. The way driveways are, I don't think we can get two speed humps in there. I do think one would solve the issue being reported by the residents, and I think they would be very appreciative of having that one. And if so granted, I would work with Ed Gentile and the DPW folks in the spring. We would go out with the residents and we would try to determine the best spot for all involved. Clearly, we don't want to have it right in front of somebody's driveway or, you know, we're usually pretty good at finding the best spot for these. Again, I know the commission is very judicious on putting out these speed humps, and I think we should continue in that vein, but I think this is a spot where it would work.
well, especially since it's a continuation of an existing speed hump situation.
And it's it's almost a continuation of Buttonwood too. Buttonwood has
Yeah,
two of
because
them.
they
Yeah.
just cut right
Not
through.
uncommon in that area.
True. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the
Yes. Second.
speed hump.
The second, if you didn't, aye.
Okay.
All right, this one's a little more involved, the speed study on Mansfield Avenue. As you know, I was tasked by the commission to explore with the DOT the reasons why some of Mansfield Avenue is posted at 30 and some of it is posted as 35. No real surprise when I heard back from the DOT engineer as to why that is. The reasons are this, which I could have told you probably before they even called me back. The upper end of Mansfield Avenue has many less cross streets. There's no sidewalk system. And they look at the 85th percentile and they believe that 35 is the acceptable speed limit there, and they're not amenable to lowering it. The 30-mile-an-hour zone further down from, I think, Knollwood down, many more cross streets. You have a sidewalk system by Royal School. You have a traffic light there. And that's their basic reasons why they think the speed limit as posted is correct. And I really can't dispute their findings. It makes sense. Maybe not, if I was king of the world and waving the magic wand, maybe it wouldn't be that way, but I do agree with their reasons why it is the way it is.
Captain, does it go to 35 north of the school, of Oxford School?
It does.
So it's 30 in the school areas, and then once it gets past the
No.
last school, it goes to 35?
Yes. In the area of Royal School, it is 30. In the area of Oxford School, it is 35.
South of it as well as north of it?
Yeah, when you come down, if you're coming south on Mansfield, when you get around just before Mansfield Place, I think
Yeah.
is where it changes.
Okay, got it.
Even lower than
Mansfield
CCD.
Place area,
Somewhere in that.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
St. Nicholas.
You're heading, what are the roads? Knollwood, St. Nicholas, whatever's off to Peach Hill.
Beach
Yeah.
Hill.
At some point
Right around
past
there,
that,
it changes?
when you lose those
Okay.
cross streets, I think it's
So the two
higher.
different schools are treated differently.
Right.
There are no sidewalks at Oxford School. There's very few people, if any, walking to school there. Being involved in traffic as long as I have, I do agree with the experts that say posted speed limit only has some effect on driver behavior.
Yeah.
The mere fact of lowering it from 35 to 30 probably wouldn't have a significant impact on the vast majority of the driving
Well,
population.
that's what I was going to say. Does it really,
So,
will it really affect anything?
So the next step would be, which I was not surprised that they were not amenable to that, is kind of twofold. Both school zones, although they are schools, right, they're not designated right now as school zones, where the fines could be doubled and you could have school zone signage. Kind of bifurcated at this point. You could go two ways. You could simply post it as a school zone, fines doubled, or you can put a school zone with flashing lights that flash during the school day. So those are the two choices.
What do we do, say, at homeschool?
Homeschool was never designated as a school zone until we put in the dynamic speed signs.
That's what I thought,
Right,
yeah.
so, but Hoyt Street there in that section was already posted at 25
25.
by homeschool,
Right.
right? A lot of people are under the impression that a school zone has to be 25 miles an hour, and that's simply not the case. It's not, there's no requirement that if it's a school zone, it has to be 25. So I guess at this point, the question would be, do we simply post it as a school zone?
And when you say posted, that there's the specific signs, you're just talking.
Yeah, it was a school zone.
Nothing on the.
Fines doubled.
The street
I
sign.
think maybe that coupled with the dynamic speed signs that we've already approved and are going to be going in on Mansfield Avenue may be the way to go.
I agree with them too.
Well, certainly,
Okay.
do something would be good.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good start.
And the other thing that came to light on Mansfield Avenue, kind of as a collateral issue, is the Mansfield to McLaren intersection, which comes up on a regular basis. The topography there and the geometric features of the roadway simply were done before automobiles.
Yeah.
But we did get a request from, I believe it was from the Selectman's office again. She had gotten some reports from residents for us to look at it once again, which I'm going to be tasked to do.
It is a tough intersection coming out of McLaren onto Mansfield.
It certainly is. Yep.
It's been that way for years. Although we don't have a large accident history there, it still does remain a tough intersection to get out of. So Donna had a suggestion about asking the state to do a study there, and we'll take another look at it.
Is there, and again, this may be personnel specific, but since I lived right there and that's where the kids walked, and during the school hours, the crossing guard at the time was very active. I mean,
Yeah.
that's when you're backed up. I mean, but that's a nightmare of an intersection, maybe not for safety because people aren't going that fast because they're backed up, but with the kids and everyone. And there was a very active crossing guard who went above and beyond to make sure the kids were safe and the cars were moving. Do we train? I mean, is there?
Well, the crossing
I don't know who's
guards-
there now. I've been gone for 10 years.
Right, well, unfortunately, the crossing guard that was there just resigned, so we're actively seeking another crossing guard. Right now, we have a police officer there, but the crossing guards are not there to do traffic.
I understand.
I know you've been through that
Yeah.
before. They're to just keep the kids safe. Do they move the cars along if, there's somebody blocking a crosswalk? Yes, they can do that, but their job isn't to do traffic.
No, I know there, but there's.
It is a tough intersection.
But you're right, they really did move
Yeah.
the traffic.
Well, and safety, I mean,
And
making
safety,
sure
yeah.
the cars, it's all part and parcel, at least at school crossing hours, moving the traffic and keeping the kids safe is kind of,
Have we had any history of accidents?
Oh, there's accident and collision data there, yes. But is it a lot? No. Anecdotally, do we have a lot of near misses? Yes. Do we get a lot of complaints from people about that intersection and inquiries? Yes.
Over the years,
We
yes.
certainly do. Absent obtaining large swaths of private property to try to increase the sight line, I can't quite figure out any great solution. Now, we bandied about in different forums, making it one way, westbound only. Yeah, that's above my pay grade to get residents to buy in to make a road a one-way or dead-ended. The fire department wouldn't allow it without some kind of cul-de-sac where you could turn fire apparatus around.
Right.
So there's no silver bullet that I can pull out of my holster.
In
against
the,
this.
again, 10 years since I drove it 20 times a day, but have we done everything we can do in terms of cutting back brush or asking someone to relocate
Yep.
a fence or something?
In my time doing this, a little bit now, fence has been moved back, guardrail has been put in, brush has been cut back. looking to the right, if you're coming out onto Mansfield, there's a stone wall that predates George Washington that's been there. It's probably not going to be.
How about that telephone pole? I used to find that telephone pole was right in the wrong spot, but what are you doing with that? I know.
I'm
Okay,
gonna-
I just didn't know if we were getting either comments or complaints because something had grown in over the last year or two.
It's
You know,
been
this
New owner.
this reconstitutes itself every
Yeah.
every year. So I guess I will ask for, at least for them to look at, is there a possibility to put a traffic light there that would work in conjunction with the Royal School light?
I would suggest you guys, you'll get more complaints if you put a traffic light there.
We may.
Traffic light in Royal School is about 100 yards away.
Yeah, that would be a tough spot to put a traffic light.
I'm of the firm belief at this point that traffic engineers with a lot more experience and knowledge than me would have figured it out by now if there was a
Right.
solution, but
Yeah.
that doesn't keep us from trying once again.
Duly noted.
And
So do we need to do anything about putting,
No, I'm-
nothing official about the
I'm
designated
going to-
school
I'm gonna
zones and all
craft a
that?
letter to the DOT saying, again, this is your road. This has
But
been an
the-
ongoing
and the
issue.
Oxbridge road.
Can
Okay.
we work together to try to figure out a
Oh.
solution?
we do just want to, you have a point on the Corbin Drive project, right? Something came up on that. You want to advise the commission of?
Corbin Drive is at the Office of the State Traffic Administration. We have a meeting in Newington on this whole project on January 30th at 1 PM. I've been informed by the P&Z director that both he and the first selectman will be attending that meeting. Right now, ASTA is estimating that maybe a 3 to 6 month approval process. So we may be still a ways down the road before a shovel hits the ground. So I will be up at that meeting with them on the 30th. One item that did get put into their submitted plans, kind of based on my conversation, I think our conversation here, was that crosswalk going across the post road and where the new commercial driveway would be. I am still not 100% certain that the Department of Transportation will agree that that's no longer a mid-block crosswalk, but we're still working toward, and I will bring the commission's thought that that would be something that we think it would be positive if it's allowed.
Great.
That's all I got on that.
Okay. So that covers Corbin Drive.
Yep.
So now we're into the budget.
Just to update you on where we're at with the budget, I met with Kate Bush, Jamie Stevenson, and Jen Chernesky from Finance last week on just some highlights of our budget and some things that were in the police department budget that we're looking at. Certainly the SRO situation at Middlesex Middle School was brought up, and the best way to go about doing that, whether we want to revisit. We are asking, for the continuation of the civilian dispatch program, or perhaps adding staffing, some discussion on that, the best way. We're still working on that. So those talks are ongoing. A couple other things we're looking at is a upgrade to our records management system software. It's called WebRMS. That would be a significant upgrade to allow our CAD system and our RMS system to better integrate with each other and to improve police reports. The current FBR system, field-based reporting system that we have is no longer serviced by TriTech. It's out of date, and we're looking to upgrade to something better, more efficient for the officers, and more user-friendly. We're also looking to update our in-car video dash cams, and the ones that we have, the dash cams are going on 8 to 10 years old. They're the original dash cams that we installed. So there's newer, better technology out there. And the same company, Axon, that puts our body cameras, that we get our body cameras from, has created a in-car video system as well. It would be better if we used one system for everything. So that's something we're looking at.
Did the dash cam and the body cams, we house and keep the data for the same amount, it's the same,
The retention periods?
Yeah.
We can
Rules
set
or-
them, to whatever we want. Most of the stuff is 90 days unless we flag it, and then it can be saved for as long as we need it to be saved.
A real good upgrade of this system is if you activate your lights in your car, with the Axon camera in the car, your body camera will automatically be activated. You don't have to do two separate actions.
well, 8 to 10 years, I don't know the camera specifically, but 8 to 10 years in technology
Yeah.
world
Yeah,
is
it's
a dinosaur.
A big difference,
Yeah.
so. And, our usual rotation of patrol vehicles, we're looking at replacing 4 vehicles. And then we're also looking at a speed detection system to be able to record speeds. If we get complaints of speeds, like the issue on Sylvan Road, we can set up our own speed detection device there and not put a police officer there to monitor speeds, but a speed detection device that would monitor traffic, do traffic counts.
Not for enforcement, it's not going to
No,
have any
it's not for
particular
enforcement, it's to-
data, just counts.
Yeah, traffic
Speeds.
counts, traffic speeds, and then we would be able to have access to that, and we'd be able to
Valuable.
better place officers at high impact times.
Right.
Correct.
These are just some of the highlights of things that we'll be looking for in the budget process, so we'll see how that goes. I know it's always a tight budget year, but these are some improvements we would like to see.
Okay. Now, the process, what's the timing on the process?
Well, the budgets, the police department budget, Don and I were working on it. It's been submitted, so it's in the hands of the town hall right now. And we'll have the next meeting is, if the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. So we'll be meeting with them as well to pitch our case.
And that should be approximately when?
Usually it's late January, early February.
Okay. All right.
Get started, yeah.
Okay. And what is the status of our building's HVAC system?
So you were aware that, we had some issues, with the system, and we had our dripping water coming through the condensation coming through the ceiling this past summer. Ed Gentile from DPW has been a big help to assist us. We've asked for a study from some professionals that have a lot more knowledge than we do, and even Ed does, to take a look at our system and make sure everything is running properly. So it's called a recommissioning. Ed is proposing a $25,000 expenditure. We met with the Board of Selectmen the other night to do this research and inspection of our system to find out what we can do to make the system run better. We have an excellent system. It was built to spec. It's just not running the way it should be running. And we've had NCON in here a number of times. When you make one adjustment on it, something else goes wrong. So we need experts in the field to take a look at it. And Ed, who has a lot more knowledge on it than we do, feels this is the best way to go. So the Board of Selectmen approved the expenditure. We're going to the Board of Finance next week to pitch our case to them as well, to take the money from contingency, because we did not budget for this.
All right. New business.
This is just informational. We have applied for a $6,000 JAG grant through the Justice Assistance Program of the federal government, through the State Office of Policy and Management. $6,000 grant. It's many police departments in the state get a portion of that. Our portion would be $6,000 if approved. I believe we'll get it, and we're going to get some enhanced sexual assault training with that money for our detective bureau and some of our first line supervisors, and some and some advanced forensic equipment as well for the Detective Bureau, if we should get that money. So that's an informational thing.
Okay. Now, next you've got display magnets.
One of our officers, Officer Rich Flood, brought this forward to us. He, as you know, he came from Eastchester PD.
Yeah.
And he's very close with a lot of the officers down in the Westchester area, specifically an officer down in New Rochelle who started a program a while back. It's about autism awareness. And April is Autism Awareness Month. A lot of the departments down in the New Rochelle, or I guess a number of departments down in the New Rochelle area, put a magnet in the shape of a patch on their patrol vehicles to raise awareness for autism. I don't want to get into the habit of, putting stuff on our patrol vehicles as a regular habit, but since it would benefit one of our officers, and Rich is very much involved in it with his own son. We feel it's a worthy cause. It would raise awareness, and especially for law enforcement officers. There's a little bit of training that would go along with it about how to react when we get a type of call. There's a lot of problems with children with autism that might wander, and officers might not be aware of how to talk to them or how to treat them. So this kind of raises the awareness for our level also. I think it's a good idea, and if you don't object, if the commission doesn't object, I'd like to give it the go-ahead. It's not going to cost us anything. The police association apparently is going to buy the magnets, so it won't cost us anything except just putting those magnets on the car for a month.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. And the probationary period for
Officer Eric.
our Attorney General?
Officer Eric Holder is, his probationary period is up on January 4th, and I would recommend that his probationary period come to an end and he be appointed full-time patrol officer. I just need your signatures on those 2 copies.
Okay.
Sorry? Yeah, you do need to
So
make
moved.
a motion. and-
Well, second. Okay. And now our favorite, the false alarm account.
Yeah, I found a leadership development class that's being offered at the University of New Haven. I'd like to use $208 for false alarm funds to send one sergeant. Very beneficial 2-day class. I'd like to send one of our sergeants to it, just as a development class.
That's the most reasonable class I've ever seen.
Yeah, I
And
know,
we're
it's
asking for-
it's not expensive. I thought it was going to be more, but that's all it was.
Okay. Just on new business.
You need it. So moved.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Second. I guess we're all in favor of that. Any update on the negotiations?
Union negotiations?
That's the one, yep.
They are continuing. They have blown through 2 deadlines, mutually extended. There was supposed to be a meeting today, but the attorney for the union had something come up that was canceled. So there's a meeting on Monday to continue. It doesn't seem like anything is imminent. It's continuing to drag for some reason. So there's not much of an update.
Okay.
It's in motion.
All right, any other new business that anyone would like to raise? No?
Nothing
Okay.
else for you.
Then I'll make a motion, we go to executive session to discuss personnel matter.
Just have one issue for you. There's not going to be any vote.
No vote.